Hello and welcome to Chino. Here's a video on the 5 things I did to get all 9s at GCSE. So just a quick explanation. I was the first year to do the 1 to 9 exam in Maths, English Literature and English Language. Therefore they are the only 3 subjects that I could get a level 9 in. So here are my 5 tips on things that I did to get those grades. So number 1, start as soon as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean start revising now, but it just means start engaging in lessons, making sure you're taking good notes and that you're understanding what you're doing. Just if you keep doing this as early as possible, it means that you have less to do at the end, making it less stressful when you come to actual exam season. I would recommend that you are reviewing your notes and making sure you still understand them, that they're efficient and it's not just a load of waffle. Maybe even try and condense some of your notes after the lesson just so you can kind of refresh it and make sure you haven't written something that makes absolutely no sense and that you're not going to understand. I would also recommend that you revise for your end of unit tests, just because these are like little snapshots of each chapter, and it means that if you do something particularly badly in, you can then revise it and you find that puzzle piece before you realise you've lost it. So I would say it may seem irrelevant to you at the time, these end of unit tests, not particularly important, don't mean anything, but in the long run they will help you in that you don't have to revise as much when it comes to the actual exams, and you've already done you'd have quite a lot of revision material ready, so you can look over that and you don't have to waste time making more if you already have it. Number 2 is to learn from your mistakes. If in a test or in this essay you did something particularly badly, and make sure you look at that, you see what you've done wrong, why you've done it, and how you can solve this problem so next time you don't do it again. By doing this you can then find out your weaknesses and you can make sure that you're always learning from what you're doing, because there's no point in doing these tests if you don't really realise what you're doing wrong. So look at the criticism that your teachers have given you and try and maybe even talk to them, how can I do this better, how can I stop doing this, even try and add it into that essay or redo that math question just so you know how to do it and then next time you're not going to make the same mistake. And number 3, do lots and lots of past papers. I know you've heard this so many times and all my teachers told me to do this, but it's really useful, especially for subjects like maths, because there's only so many ways they can write the same question. Because you're one of the first years to do it, you haven't got that many past papers. However, that doesn't mean you can't look at the old spec and do their papers. When I started, I did all the papers from the previous spec under all the different exam boards, because maths is still maths. It's not going to change too much from exam board to exam board, from spec to spec. There may be 1 or 2 extra things on there or taken away, but overall it's very similar and you just get the practice, and that's really what's useful when it comes to, in particular, maths. For English literature, I wrote and planned loads of different essays. I'd make up my own titles, get my teacher to write me some titles, just so then I already had this plan in my head and I felt really prepared for when it came to the exam. Also, it helps you because you don't have to spend too much time on a plan at the start of the exam, because you've already got in your head, you know what quotes you need, what points you're going to say, and you already kind of know how you're going to go with this essay and the direction you're going to take. So overall it saves you a lot of time when it comes to the actual exam. For English literature, this is one of the main ways I revise, other than my next point, because it's an active way and you're trying to actively learn the quotes, and just by writing it, it really helps. And for English language, I did, again, lots and lots of past papers. We were given about 3 or 4 past papers that we had to do, and I went through these, and because they're quite long, I would do 1 or 2, and then if there was a question I was particularly bad at, I would do that one several more times just so I could get to the same level as the other questions, because I know in English language there's some questions that are really easy and then there are some which are basically impossible. So if you try and do the impossible ones lots and lots, then they won't be impossible much longer. Number 4, flashcards. I absolutely love flashcards just because they're small condensed versions of your notes. They're also really portable and you can take them anywhere and just learn on the go. I wrote flashcards for almost all my subjects just because I thought they were really useful and I kind of enjoyed making them, just making them look pretty and colourful. I have some examples of what I used for my GCSE English literature, just as that was the one that I used the most flashcards for. This is what I use for poetry. These are all the poems from my poetry anthology written down onto cards. There's 2 cards per poem, and it's just got everything I need to know about that poem. Poetry was when I stressed about so much, just because you have to learn, I think it's 14 or 15 poems off by heart, and I just thought that's not possible, it's not going to happen. So by condensing it down into little flashcards, it made me feel a little more confident, because I thought, oh, I know what's on the flashcards, I must be able to do this. So here we go. This is what I did. I've got my title at the top. I've got the main message of the poem, just so I know the overall message of it and what's going on. I've got some themes, because it's really useful to try and comment on themes during your essays. I have got context as well, because this is a really important point that loads of people forget, and it's quite an easy way to get the higher grades. And on the back I have written about form, structure, dramatic irony and status. These were the things that are in the poetry textbook, the revision guide, the CPG revision guide, so I recommend getting that if you don't have it already, just because it's got really simple ways of writing it and it's got everything you need to know. So I've just made notes on that on here. And then on the next card I've got just some more themes and what poems they link to, just because the whole point of this essay is comparing different poems to each other. Then on the back of that I have got my quotes and my annotations. So these are all the quotes I would learn for this poem, and then I've written down little notes on it just so I don't have to think as much about the analysis of it, and it's already here for me, so hopefully I can elaborate on that in the exam. So for example, I have put "if they durst" as the quote, and I put "cold commanding tone implies fear towards the Duke." It's quite short, snappy, so I can easily remember it. I also did cards for my text as well. I have got loads here. I've got my Scrooge quotes, Scrooge and Macbeth. I also have an Inspector Calls one, but I don't know where that one has gone. I'll probably have to look for that. So yeah, I did lots of flashcards in all my subjects just because I really liked making them and they're quite easy to do. And my 5th point and my final point is to relax. It's really important that you stay calm through all of this. I know it's a very stressful time and you feel like there's so much pressure on you, but just take a step back and relax, because it will make you feel a lot better. And when you go into the exam, you probably won't forget your stuff, because it would be horrible if you felt so under pressure that you walked in and forgot everything you've done. So I would say eat well, sleep well, and try and prioritise things. Don't do a whole day of revision and do nothing that you enjoy. Just try and take time out for yourself. Continue with a hobby that you really like, just so you kind of have a nice balance and it's a healthy balance and you're not just focusing all your time onto work, because that's really draining and your brain will probably get tired and worn down, especially because it's a long period. You need stamina to get through it and you can't just focus all your energy at the start and then by the end you're completely drained and can't do any more. Also, it's not the end of the world if you do badly. It doesn't really mean much in your terms of your whole life. At the moment it may seem really important, but in the future it's only a grade and it's not really going to change your life that much. So just try and take a step back, relax, and don't get too caught up in it. So that's it. Thank you for watching my 5 things I did to get all A stars / 9s in my exams. I hope you've taken something from this, and hopefully you can try and adapt some of these techniques into your work so you can get even better grades. I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already, subscribe to my channel just so you can see what else I'm going to post. Hopefully I will try and do a video on how I make my flashcards and all the different things I do for them. Don't forget to leave a comment if you do any of these techniques already, if you would really love to incorporate some into your revision, or any techniques that you would suggest. Is there anything that you find helps particularly well that I haven't mentioned? Any techniques, because I'd love to hear some new ones. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!